A tribute to my dad, Don Nickles. Images of a man. Just a man. Just a man. A man who was once a boy with hopes and dreams, growing up on the farm with his hard-working parents and four brothers, tending to barn chores, milking cows, learning the ways of farming, with the good soil becoming enmeshed in his veins. A man who, growing up, witnessed God's beautiful sunrises, sunsets, and recognized the power and wonder of God's creation. A man who honored and appreciated his parents. A man who, most of his life, was up laboring before the break of day and well past sunset, worked at the pottery from 3 to 11 a.m., would come home, take a nap for an hour or so, get up, go farm, often coming home after dark, probably averaging 3 to 4 hours of sleep per day. A man who fell in love with Jeanette Heaton, the brown-eyed girl from Fredericktown, who moved to Loudonville during her high school years. Our parents were married for over 62 years at the time of her passing in 2015. A man who, as a teenager, committed his life to Jesus Christ at a revival meeting at the Magzina Evangelical United Brethren Church. A man who married his sweetheart in June of 1953, had a newly born son, had another daughter on the way, and was drafted into the U.S. Army in January of 1955. A man who served his beloved country overseas in Europe for 2 years and made lasting friendships with his Army buddies. He was awarded good conduct and marksmanship status commendations along with being honorably discharged. A man who I did not physically know until more than 18 months of age when he returned from the Army, but recognized him by calling him Daddy upon first sight, and who would occasionally sing My Little Margie to me as a child. Images. A dad who was continuously on the go until he hit that easy chair, driving a cement truck and farm tractors with equipment, mowing yard, washing cars, rototilling the garden, cutting, stacking wood, making us a big sandbox, fixing a fence, building a treehouse. A man who was involved at church as Sunday school superintendent and at the Magzina Community Club, and who often helped his Magzina neighbors with anything. Images in my mind. A man who was sinewy, strong, and dark-tanned by the sun, whose sweat glistened off his forehead and neck, the hay chaff clinging to the hair on his arms. A man who, at the end of the day, sat down, took off those dust-covered work boots, socks, and pants, scratched his back on the corner wall, and went into the bathroom to get cleaned up. A man who, for just a second, thought he could be a dentist. He tried to pull my front tooth with a heavy-duty meat wrapper string. Well, that didn't work. Plan B. Tie the string to a doorknob, pull on the door. That didn't work. Went to plan C. Pair of pliers. That eventually worked. Thank the Lord. A man who only knew black and white, no gray areas, who disciplined and expected us kids to know right from wrong. A man who would plant a big smacker kiss on my mom and give her a hug before he went out the door. A man who, at the bottom of the stairs on Sunday mornings, would call, "Up and at 'em," packed us into the car to go to church, was an important contributor to the Magzina Church throughout his life, as he was also a trustee, participated in the church choir, and became the song leader. We came to realize he was not George Bevshay, sometimes being just a little off-key. But in God's eyes, his zeal and uplifted voice was perfection, the sweetest voice ever heard. A man who loved music, especially gospel, barbershop quartets, live concerts. Oh yeah, don't forget those polkas. A man who loved homemade ice cream and bread from family traditions, steak, potatoes, noodles, spaghetti, any homemade pie, cakes, desserts, lemonade, iced tea, cheese and chocolate. Loved family get-togethers, always said a meaningful prayer before a meal. A man who depended upon my mom to keep the household going, that is, attending to the immediate wants and needs of the kids while he was away. A man whose service to others sometimes came at the expense of our family, such as missing school performances and functions. A man who, after his retirement from the pottery, was able to enjoy traveling to Europe, Washington, D.C., Rocky Mountains, and Canada with Jeanette and his Army buddies. A man whose social network had no bounds, a man whose branches grew into thousands of outreaching vines, from Euchre to the Gideons, from Meller's restaurant to the Marathon station, to any social function. A man who had a welcoming smile and had that thumbs up sign before it became popular with former President Donald Trump. A man who became a prayer warrior and grew his faith in Jesus Christ through his dedicated reading of daily devotions, Bible study, and activities with the Gideons International. A man who loved the color red, red handkerchiefs, shirts, red cardinals, red IH tractors, New Holland equipment, red trucks, cars, and I also believe red blood. A man who gave blood beyond the organized Red Cross blood drives. We used to joke that he had used up more than 9 lives. Nixon cuts, smashed thumb, broken foot with the outer skin abraded or missing, a wild ride on the Super C while mowing, emergency room visits with their poking and prodding. A man who had no pain, or so he said. I personally saw him with a tube down his throat for 3 straight days with no handhold tie-downs. He told that nurse, "I don't need that." A man who had no fear of death, who believed that just one drop of blood shed by Christ on the cross covered all our sins. A man who believed there is power in the blood of Christ and his everlasting kingdom. I will be forever grateful that he was my father on earth. Don Nickles was a man. Just a man. But oh, what a man.